In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a full installation on your brand new 1390 contour cutting laser cutter. With this machine, you will need a few things to get on with your installation. The machine comes supplied with an air pump and an exhaust fan, a chiller of your choice, and the machine also comes with a pack of wheels and some stands to keep it robust, but we're not gonna use the wheels today. And your laser tube of a wattage of your choice, starting off at 80 watts, going up to 150 watts. So the first thing to install, I would like to get on with my goodie bag that comes with all the necessary components that I will need for my installation. So firstly, I'm going to take out my external water pipes, my hose clamps for the exhaust, and my power cable, my chiller signal cable, my air extension pipe. Right, let's begin. Let's start off with installing our water chiller. So firstly, I would like to unroll the external water pipes, join these two together all the way to the end, and divide them equally into two. The outlet pipe on the chiller will connect into the water inlet pipe onto the machine. My inlet pipe onto the chiller will connect to my outlet pipe onto the machine. So it's vice versa. Now I'm going to find a comfortable position to place my chiller behind the machine so I can also connect the power cable to the outlet onto the machine. Plugging in my power cable. Now I'm going to connect my chiller power cable onto the outlet socket labeled for the chiller. Alright, now all I have to do is connect my signal cable onto the machine and onto the chiller. Now the chiller is done. And by the way, you can notice I've already taken out my exhaust pipe out of the machine by just reaching out my hand and pulling it out and stretching it out all outside. So next, I'm gonna now install my exhaust fan. So I'm just gonna unwind my cable, connect it to the machine so that I can find a comfortable position to house my extraction fan behind the machine. Now first, what I want to do is connect the hose that is coming out from the extraction from the machine onto the motor of the extraction fan. Right, so I'm just going to fold in a little bit of my hose so that I can secure it nicely onto now I just need to reel in my hose clamp with the screwdriver. I'm just going to secure the two together. Alright, now let's install the outlet of the extraction hose. Right. Same applies. I'm just going to fold in a little bit inside so that I can find a very good spot to secure my extraction hose onto the outlet of the extraction fan. Slip the clamp first and secure it onto the outlet of your extraction hose. Right, now that we have installed our exhaust fan, you can now let this side of the hose just run out through an outlet going outside. Now that's done. Let's now install our air pump. We're also going to need the extension. See what we have in here. So firstly, what I want to do is to connect the mouthpiece of our air pump. Right now, what you want to do next is to connect the extension hose that you find in the box of the air pump. All right, just secure that down. So this is our air hose that we are going to join here and to the back of the machine. It simply just slips in, and you can secure this end and that end with a simple cable tie. Right, now our pump is connected. Now we just go ahead and fit it onto the machine. Our power cable going to the air pump and our air pipe, just push it in where it says air. Next is the laser tube. Let's do that. Carefully, because it's fragile, it's glass. Place it to the floor. Open the box. Now that I've opened my laser tube, I need to prepare where it's going to sit in the machine. With a set of Allen keys, you can unscrew the hoisters of the tube. All right, now we are ready to place our tube into the machine. Carefully, I hold the middle part of the tube in the box and take out the supporters. Gently, I place my tube into the machine. All right, so at this stage, you just want to make sure that you put the hoisters back so that you can safely install the tube's position without causing any physical damage. So we're gonna leave this part still loose so we are able to move it to the exact position we want to set it up as. Once you're happy, you can fully now secure it down, and also making sure at the front of the tube you've left an index finger gap between the front of the tube and your first mirror. The next step is connecting your water into tube. You just push it in, very easy, and just make sure the pipes aren't folding, otherwise it will block the flow. same applies with the front of the tube. Just push in the outlet pipe so water gets in from the rear of the tube and comes out from the front of the tube, going back to the chiller, cooled, and return into the tube. We are almost complete with our installation. The last step, installing the laser tubes power supply. At AM, we stock different size power supplies for different sizes of tubes. So I'm going to use this one to install for my 90 watt up to 100 peak power tube. I'm also going to use a LC 100 watt power supply. All right, let's put it in. Right, so like I said, the power supplies are different. So with this one, I will need to take off the green lug. So starting from my right, I'll take off the ground line and secure on the grounding position. Then my alternating current wires, 220 volts in. This is my high voltage connection to the tube. This is my female and my male from the tube, and connect the two together and screw and secure. So this is my negative extension line coming to the negative or the low voltage on to the tube. All right, so I'm going to use a wire stripper. Right, so now I'm just going to slide in my heat shrink insulation on top just to give it a little bit of more security, and using a normal gas light, I'm just going to heat up this insulation so that it can secure my insulation a lot better. What's left is to connect the lug going to the motherboard. And find a good position to house my power supply in the body of the machine. Now, the final stages to connecting our laser cutting tube. Right, so we take the negative wire from the power supply and the negative wire from the front of the laser tube. Right, with our heat shrink cable. Join these two together. Insulate that. Pull in our heat shrink over the insulation. Just gonna burn that with a lighter. Now we move on to pouring our distilled water into our water chiller. So for a new installation on a water chiller, we normally test this at our factory. So it might contain a little bit of some water inside. So what you may want to do is open the drain, check if there's any water inside, close so tight, pour in a little bit of some tap water just to rinse it out and drain again, close, and then you're good to go to pour in your distilled water. So with this model of the chiller, it may take give or take 8 liters of water. Right. So firstly, pour in your first 5 liters of water only, and then proceed to switch on the machine and also switching on the chiller, letting the water run through out of the chiller into the tube, and then you can fill in the remainder, checking with the gauge at the back. Switching on is very easy. First, I would want to disengage my emergency stop switch and pushing down my 220 input switch. There goes the motherboard on. The machine is going to reset, going to its homing position. Once that is complete, I can switch on my chiller switch and proceed to switch on the chiller unit. As you can see, the water gets in from the back of the tube, flowing all the way to the front of the tube. Right, now we can go ahead to top up our water. Right, so firstly, I just want to check my gauge. It needs to be filled at least a little bit, half a finger through to the yellow line. So I'm going to top that steadily, whilst also taking a peek at the back. More or less 2.5 liters of water I will need to top up. The more water my chiller has, the more effectively it will be to cooling down the water as I am working. The remainder, I can store away this safely and use it to top it up after I've done my water change. For the chiller, we'll need you to change the water monthly, the less you use the machine, and up to 3 months, the more you use the machine. Because the more stagnant the water is not circulating, the more it's going to deteriorate its viscosity inside the chiller. So before you can start off with your alignment and passing on the tube, if you can notice, there's a little bit of a dancing bubble inside the tube. It's not very wise to use the tube whilst there are a little bit of some bubbles in there. So what you can do, you can just reach out your outlet water pipe, fold it, let the chiller beep a few seconds, and then once you release the pipe, the bubble will start to go out of the tube, and then just let it to pressurize. This is so that you can minimize the air spores inside the tube. This can actually damage your brand new laser cutting tube if you start using it with a lot of air bubbles inside. Okay, now our machine has been fully installed. However, it's not yet ready for work. What's left is laser mirror alignment. So what we'll need, masking tape, normal mentholated spirit for cleaning, and our normal earbuds. So firstly, I'm going to take a piece of some tape. Just going to stick that there. Maybe make a few more of these to use during my alignment process. Just gonna cut this one in half and tape over each other just to give the masking tape a little bit of some resistance when bending it and marking with the laser. Right, so what I want to do is stick this in the first mirror right about there, so that when I pulse straight from the tube and check if it's within the circle of the mirror. Doesn't have to be center, but just within the circle of the mirror. Right, so I proceed to my controller. For me to be able to do the first pulse without bending the tape excessively, just marking it enough for me to see where the laser beam is traveling and hitting on, I need to match my minimum power and my maximum power at the lowest power that the tube can pulse. So relatively between 15% and 30%. So I'm going to start off with 15%. Same applies with my maximum power. Once that is done, now I can pulse to see if my laser tube and both my power supply is able to work together, and also finding out where the beam is hitting. Is it circle inside the mirror or not? Right. So it is indeed within the circle of the first mirror. So now I can remove my tape off with the assistance of some earbuds and some mentholated spirit. I need to clean off the residue from burning the masking tape. Dry off with the other side. Right. Now, I need to align my y-axis. So I'm going to tape over another layer of masking tape and stick this onto the second mirror on the y-axis, which will be the mirror on this one. So what I want to do is pulse it closest to the first mirror and then bring it all the way back furthest from the first mirror and pulse and see if it's aligned and hitting on the same spot. If not, then I will have to adjust the knobs on the first mirror. Right, so here we go. We move it all the way and pulse. Bring it all the way out. Right, so it is slightly off to the right and slightly above the first datum pulse. So I will need to adjust the knobs on the first mirror. So this is the mirror we need to adjust on these three golden knobs. Right, this will move my mirror up and down, this will move my mirror in a diagonal way, and this will move the mirror left and right. So I would firstly want to lock my diagonal movement and unscrew the locking bolt on up and down. So adjusting to the right will move my beam down. Adjusting to the left will move my beam up. So it wasn't far off. So I'm just going to turn this half a second and also increase also half a second on the left and right to move my mirror a little bit more in to the left and a little bit more down so that it hits on the same spot. Up and down, left and right. Try not to move diagonal movement. Now I'm gonna untape the tape on top, move it to a position that wasn't pulsed on, and pulse again to see if it's gonna hit right on the same position. Right. It was a little further out, so I have to reduce left and right and slightly also up and down. Move the tape without moving the first tape. Looks like it's aligned. So what I'm going to do is peel out both of the tapes. Look through the light and I can actually see they are burning on the same position, meaning my y-axis is now aligned closest and furthest away from the first mirror. Same applies. I need to clean that mirror which I had this tape on. Once you are happy with aligning your y-axis, you can move over to aligning your x-axis. Take a piece of tape, tape over, and tape in front of your third mirror, which is your x-axis mirror. Bring it all the way in, closest to the second mirror. And pause. Let's just check that. Pause again. Right. And take it all the way out, furthest away from the second mirror. With another piece of tape, I'm going to tape over and pause. Right, so that is a miss from the position that it's supposed to be. So now I need to adjust the knobs of the second mirror. To make it easier for you to adjust these knobs of the second mirror, you can actually remove this entire side panel and then you can access the knobs from this side. However, I'm flexible. I'm gonna do it from inside. Bring it all the way back and pause. Right, looks like I'm slightly off. Now I just need to move it a little bit more to the right. So I'm gonna adjust up and left and right, left and right. Just gonna check that closely. And that is good. So what I want to do now is to lock all my locking bolts. These bolts from the first mirror and the second mirror. So I'm gonna start off from the back. Gotta make sure I don't move the knob. So gently with the finger, I'm just gonna lock it. Same applies with the other one. And that's it. Now I can take off the tape, clean that mirror, right. Now my y-axis is aligned, my x-axis is aligned. I'm left with now aligning my z-axis so that I know the beam is able to come out from the nozzle at the tip. So what I'm gonna do is bring it relatively somewhere around the center of my bed. With a piece of tape, I'll just tap below, trying to make an impression of a circle on the nozzle, and then pulse. Remove the tape without changing the orientation so that you don't get lost. And here we go. Center. If not center, then adjust the knobs on the top. Once you get an impression like that, then you know your laser beam is coming out straight from the tube, straight along the y-axis, straight along the x-axis, and straight down along the z-axis. And then you're good to go to start beginning working. All right, there you go. Installation complete. Laser alignment complete. Should you have any challenge, feel free to call ourselves to arrange an appointment with our technical support department. We are always here to help.